One. Good afternoon. Welcome to another live stream interview session here with Hidden Gem Sports Scouting. We've got one of our newer clients with us, Olibrice, wide receiver, kick returner from Howard and Central State University. Justin, how you doing today?
Doing good, Coach. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Doing well. How's your week been so far?
Pretty busy week this week. Just regular working out, getting everything I need to get handled.
Yeah. So we'll just go ahead and you talking about work and tell everybody what it is you do currently, because I know you and I have talked about it offline, but kind of let everybody know what your occupation is and keeps you busy.
So right now, I had the pleasure of graduating from Howard University, 2021 to 22, and out of all the student athletes that was on the football team, I was the only one that got invited back to be a part of the coaching staff. So this whole, off season, off period for me, I've been over there at Howard, coaching up the receivers, mostly the inside slot receivers at my position. And I got the honor to, help them win the MEAC championship, the first one in almost over 15 years. So that was a real big honor for me. So I pretty much just do that, every day, all day. I work on the side when I can, try to keep a little bit, extra money in my pocket, but mostly, I be out of school, in the gym, coaching up the guys. We just finished up spring ball, so that's coming to an end, about to get ready for, recruiting and stuff like that. So other than that, I've just been working out and working on my own time.
So, is something that you wanted to do? Was that something that, as you were playing, you look at your coaches and say, man, that's kind of something I want to do down there? Or was that not something really that you had on the radar as far as future plans? And then the coaches just kind of came to you and said, we really think this are a good fit as a coach.
Honestly, I never thought in my life about coaching. I know I always wanted to be like a trainer or whatever, my sports med degree. I thought I always wanted to be a trainer, but with this new coaching staff that came in, in 2020, um, they kind of just kind of took me under their wing, and they was like, they kind of see myself as set from all the other players. So it was like, man, how I feel about, coming back and teach some other kids, all the stuff that I've been through and, a little bit of my journey. So I never thought about coaching, honestly, but they thought this would be good for me, a good stepping window to maybe lead up the other doors, later down in my life. So I felt like it was a good, opportunity for me.
So now that you've been involved in coaching, you're on the other side of that white line on as far as we talk about the sideline there, that white line going out of bounds. Now you're on the other side. You're not the player. Now you're the coach. Have you been able to transition successfully? Do you feel like you're comfortable in that role?
Um, I should say I'm not as comfortable yet. It was natural going into it though, as far as the practices, the coaching aspect of it, meetings, talk to the kid. It was natural, but it's still a little bittersweet, I should say. Just being on the sideline, watching the guys perform, and me kind of wishing I could still be out there, especially knowing that I could be out there, at this age and at this, health that I am right now. It's a little bittersweet, but it's a good transition, and it was good, you know, getting that experience moving forward.
How was it as far as like transitioning from a player to a coach as far as say the meeting room and breaking down and analyzing film? Obviously as a player, you're taught by break down and analyze film and what you're supposed to be looking for. But then when you become a coach, there's a whole nother level to that a lot of times. How was it for you transitioning and really kind of catching on to that next step of breaking down film and what it is you're looking for it and how you put a game plan together based off of what you found on the film against your opponents. How was that for you?
Honestly, playing, once you playing, you just kind of focus on you and making sure, you good. Obviously, my mindset, I always make sure I'm focused on everyone, all the positions on the field, as well as the defenses on the other team. But when it comes to coaching, it's a whole nother ball game, especially the game planning and breaking down the film and all the different coverages I never knew about, especially playing. It's real different, but it's actually fun though the way they get to teach me and help me out with those type of stuff. So it's a transition, I should say, but it's a nice one though.
What you say all the coverages you never really knew about. Did you find yourself kind of overwhelmed at some point? Like, man, I didn't really know like all this like goes into coaching. Did you ever kind of reach that point?
Yeah, I did, but it wasn't more of a discouraged type of thing for me. But they, I got some real good coaches over there, and they just pulled me along. They know I'm a young guy. I just finished playing, but yeah, it could be overwhelming at times. But I'm built for it, so I just kept the ball rolling, and I'm learning as much as I can. I'm just soaking it up from a lot of these great coaches, man. Teach me a lot of different things, so it's starting to get fun for me.
What talk about the players now? Obviously, you were a player at one time. You got taught. You know, coaches developed you and helped you learn and different approaches to your game. What is it that you, as a young coach, are trying to impart on the players that you're getting a chance to influence now? What's your main message to them every day? And what are the things that you focus on from a fundamental technique standpoint that you feel are most important that they need to know right away?
Right away, just having fun. This is just a game that we all play. We've been playing it since we was kids. A lot of the guys that's in the room is young guys. We only had one senior that left this year that graduated and left. But it's a bunch of young guys, so we just kind of harp on, letting them have fun and just beat them in our, coaching bubble that they have to, follow certain rules, of course, and do certain things to a T. But just to remember to just have fun. We all out there just playing around, having fun, doing what we love. So don't let it overwhelm you, especially at the Division 1 level. It could be real frustrating, real hard. Waking up early, going to sleep late. Trying to get everything done, trying to prove a bunch of people wrong. But at the end of the day, as long as we just real close, we got a real close room, and we just have fun. Everything, work itself out.
Have you have you found in your young early coaching career, have you found I to kind of already put your stamp, so to speak, on the wide receiver group, or are you still figure out what it is that you want to do or say, or a piece of knowledge you want to impart that's going to kind of put your own personal group?
Uh, for me personally, I feel like I've been doing that, especially the head coach, Coach Larry Scott. He kind of been watching me from a distance, kind of see how I've been moving, how I've been transitioning with the guys, and it's been real good in that aspect. The former receiver coach, he just got promoted to the offensive coordinator, so the receiver coach position is open, and it could be in line for me, but I obviously know I still got some plan that I want to do in my professional career. So it is a little stamp, I should say, for me, especially because they love me around. They love me with the younger guys. All the guys love me. Not just the receiver group, but the whole team. Being that's my alma mater, so I know most of the guys, and it just I feel like it is a little stamp for me at this point, and I know their arms wide open if I ever decide I want to jump into the coaching aspect officially. But yeah, I feel like it's stamped for me.
Had any you had any of your young receivers challenge you as a coach to demonstrate your skill set, or any DBs that have kind of chirped at you a little bit. They're like, "Hey, coach, we know you play receiver. Why don't you come out here and see what you got?"
Nah, yeah, they mess with me all the time, bro. They be calling me old and stuff. It's just a little joke we be having, but nah, they mess with me all the time, man. It's just because I graduated now they think I'm old. They just be joking with me. But yeah, I do the drill. I'm out there with my cleats on every day. Me and the other OC, he's a young guy too. We out there with our cleats on. We going through the drills, man. We messing with the guy. We jumping around, we moving around, a whole lot of energy out there. So yeah, I always got my cleats on. I'm going through drills and showing them how it's supposed to be done. Let them know I still got it. I ain't old.
Well, let's talk. Let's talk on the other side of the tracks now. Obviously, we talked about you're obviously getting into a coaching career. Let's talk about what you really want to talk about. Let's talk about your journey as a player, and let's talk about where that journey carries you moving forward and what your goals are. Tell everybody where you played high school ball. Talk about your college journey, the first step, the second step. Basically, bring us up to the present day, how you got to where you are now.
Man,
Well, we seem to have lost Justin there for see if we can get him back. Hopefully, we can get him back here and um, continue this interview with him because we really have a great interview session here. Um, um, Hang tight with us here just a second. We'll see if we can't get Justin back.
hello.
Yes, sir. There he is. He's back with us again. I lost you
Okay,
there temporarily.
okay. Now it says
So
I was
go
on.
ahead and continue on. Tell everybody. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so what I was saying was this a long story, the long journey, that I've been on. I'm a South Florida kid, Pompano Beach, Florida. A lot of great guys, come out of the city that I'm from, especially in the football playing aspect. You know, Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown, he's from around that area. I grew up with Lamar Jackson. I grew up with Jerry Judy. Patrick Peterson was one of my mentors, great cornerback. It's a whole plethora of guys that come from the city that I'm from that I got to learn from and be around. So I went to Blanche Ely High School, same school as Patrick Peterson, obviously. Moving into college, I wasn't really, one of the high recruited guys or nothing like that. I kind of had a late blossom for me and for my career, especially coming out of high school. I kind of blossomed a little late, but originally, spoke with one of the coaches from University of North Carolina, uh, but I couldn't, join that team because, my credit didn't transfer.
Uh, well, we seem to be having some technical difficulties here, and
Oh,
oh,
you can
there
hear
you
me?
go. Go ahead. You popped out for a second, but go ahead. Just continue on.
Yeah. So, coming into high school, coming out of high school, I was, originally talking to the University of North Carolina. My credits didn't transfer from my school because that school takes certain credit. They're a prestigious college. And I ended up, in the last minute, didn't know where to go at all for college. Was going to go like JUCO or somewhere. And someone ended up hitting me from Howard. And they gave me a shot over there, so I came over there, prove myself. Whole bunch of stuff going on at Howard. I had a different coach. Every year of college, I had a different coach at Howard. Um, different coaching style. The first 2 years, I was under Coach Mike London. He coached at William and Mary now. I played with Cam Newton, little brother. As a lot of people know, he went to Howard. He was my quarterback my freshman and sophomore year. So I was with him. I went to Cam house before and, got to learn a bunch of stuff from him in that aspect. He's one of the greatest, quarterbacks. He got a Heisman Trophy and everything like that. So, dealing with that, and they left and went to a different school. Got another coach, Coach Ron Prince. He coached at App State, real old school guy, real stuck in his ways kind of guy, and I learned a lot, over there. But it's different systems. If you know about Coach Mike London, he's one of the great coaches, and his OC Brendan Marion is the creator of the go-go offense. If you heard of that, the two-back offense, he created that offense himself. So it's a lot of air raid offense. I learned a lot from him. And then you got transitioning to an NFL style coach, which is all the long, playbooks and thick playbooks and long names and a whole bunch of meetings and stuff that you got to learn because he a pro style, type of coach. And then now leading up with Coach Larry Scott, which he comes from South Florida as well. Coached at University of Florida, coached at Tennessee, coached at USF. And it's different systems, and I feel like that kind of speaks volumes on me and my personality and my playing, my talent that I could transition to each different type of play style. It doesn't really matter. All these different coaches, they all seem to find they liking to me. If I'm not the starting receiver, I'm on special teams. I blocked two punts before. My first time on punt block, I blocked two punts. I blocked a plethora of punts in practice. Um, I'm on the sideline hyping the guys up. I'm just kind of being that leader, kind of knowing, it's not always about being a star player. You're not always going to be the star player everywhere you go, but finding different ways, to create good habits and to help teams win. Leading up to, my senior year, we got the new coaches I was just telling you about, Coach Larry Scott, and he brought a bunch of South Florida coaches. So that was good for me, being that I'm from South Florida. We all kind of grew together, bonded together. As soon as they got there, different kind of playing style. If you watch University of Florida, it's almost the same playbook and same things that they do over there, which is it's a real fun. A lot of one-on-one matchups. A lot of learning stuff, different coverages. They teach everybody everything, every position. So it was fun for me, especially this last year. They got to use me in a plethora of ways. I played every position on the football field. And they like I could throw a little bit too. I used to play quarterback a little bit in high school, and I always knew how to throw. So they let me, have fun throwing the ball too. I threw two touchdowns on ESPN,
Wow.
my debut. Yeah, threw two touchdowns my debut, on ESPN. So that was real good for me and showing that I could do a whole bunch of different things, kick return, punt return, stuff like that. So it's been a rough journey for me, I should say. I'm just kind of speeding through it a little bit, but it's been a real rough one. Dealing with all the different coaches and having to prove myself every time, every year, every time, every time. But it was different for me this last year, these last couple of years. I kind of grew into myself, kind of starting to see myself change into the receiver and the player that I want to be. I was always one of the smartest guys in the room. My coaches could vouch for me. They always knew I was one of the smartest guys in the room. When it come to playing, they kind of always saw that extra gear in me, that extra willing to learn in me, which is how I got into coaching. They felt like, I would be a good guy coaching as well. So it was just a long journey for me. I didn't have any injuries. I never missed a game, never was injured, never missed a practice. I always was healthy throughout my college. I made sure I take care of myself, take care of my body, make sure I ain't out partying all night and nothing like that. I kind of make sure I gotta get what I gotta do and make sure I get it done. Especially at the Division 1 level, is real different. It's real hard. Days are real long. A lot of meetings, coming to practice, leaving practice, meetings, weight room, running, conditioning. Got to go to the cab, make sure getting your healthy and your nutrition right, going to classes all the time, make sure you stay. It's a lot that come with it, but I'm built for it. I never changed my journey. Right before I got to Howard, I was sleeping on the floor of one of my coach's apartments. I was sleeping on the floor at his, place, just trying to, get it done, chase my dream. Even when I got to Howard, I had situations where they didn't have a room in order for me. I reported to camp one time, and they didn't have my room assignment for me, and I had to go figure it out and sleep on the floor and kind of house hop a little bit. But I always figured it out, and I had jobs throughout college too. College not easy, especially if your parents ain't got it like that. I had a bunch of jobs. I used to walk dogs. I used to be security guard. I used to sell plates. I used to sell plates out my dorm, to all the players, everybody in the dorm. I used to sell food. I always find a way to get it done. And I feel like all of this stuff kind of speaks volume on me and my character, especially being able to see the good side of it. Now it's kind of starting to come to the light. It was all preparing me, to play professional ball, to coach and to tell, a bunch of younger kids, what's going on and how to overcome anything. It doesn't even matter what it is. And being that, I went through all that, got a college degree, sports med degree. No one could ever take that from me. That's set in stone at one of the best colleges across the country, especially one of the best HBCUs across the country. And I got a championship ring as well. So it's not all bad, man. It ain't got to be all bad for some of these guys. I think they going through a lot of stuff. You're still in school, you're away from home. You get homesick, but if there's something you really love to do and want to do, make sure you find a way to get it done. So that's what I've been doing, and obviously I'm still trying to figure it out. That's why I hang around, all the older coaches, so they could teach me a whole bunch of stuff and drop some jewels and some knowledge on me, as I'm coming up. But yeah, I have a real long story, and it's a real unique one, and I seem like I always find a way to make it happen and get it done. So hopefully, obviously it's not over for me, but I'm just ready to keep for the story to keep being written.
And it will be. I have no doubt about that. I talk to athletes all the time, and one of the things I talk about is there's sometimes guys don't really understand what it really takes to chase these dreams, and I always kind of have my own little catchphrase. There's a price that has to be paid and a sacrifice that has to be made to chase these dreams, and obviously you've only realized that very catchphrase, but you've also lived it as well. You've made obviously a lot of sacrifices, sleeping on coach's floor, all these different jobs, just like you said, just finding a way to get it done. So you obviously realized very quickly, I'm gonna have to make some sacrifices. I'm gonna have to pay a certain price, and that price is, we're not talking money. We're talking, constant training every day, doing recovery every day, film study, different things. There's a price that has to be paid to chase these dreams and to reach a level of greatness. And so you're a living testament to that. You've done that already. Um, and that's an amazing thing. And it does speak volumes about your character. It speaks commitment to the mission at hand for you. It shows a real dedication on to be great and to chase greatness. And so I have no doubt that your story will continue. This is just I don't necessarily stop in the road, but it's kind of a holdover. Sometimes you fly on a plane, or whether it's a train or bus. There's sometimes there's a stop, and then you got to get off that one and get on another one to keep moving where you're going. So this is just kind of one of those stopping points. Maybe you're getting off one plane. Now we got to wait for a little bit, and then we're gonna get on another plane. and move on to the next portion of the journey. So have no doubt that that's going to continue for you. You know, and it speaks volumes about your flexibility as well. Your ability to adapt to the environment, your an ability for you, um, adapt to the various offensive schemes that you were asked to be a part of. Adapt coaching philosophies. Obviously, every coach has their own thought process and their own philosophy of how they want to achieve the mission that they achieve. And so, it takes, when I was in the Marine Corps, we always had this saying called Semper Gumby. There was a TV show, and I've never seen it, or even know what it is, but it was called Gumby, Gumby and Friends. And Gumby was like this little aqua green. It was like a little live anime show. It was like Gumby was like a little Play-Doh little figure, and so he was always flexible. You could take and stretch him out, and so same thing in life and with football and things like that. You're having to be flexible. You're having to be willing to adjust and adapt on the fly, and so it's a huge plus no matter where you go in sports and in football or coaching. Being able to adapt and adjust to what's around you is a huge skill or trait that not every athlete is able to learn, much less to use for themselves. So I think that's great. You talked about constantly taking care of yourself. And, let's talk about what your off-season regimen has been like. Obviously, you're busy coaching, but you're still trying to chase playing dreams. How are you able to juggle the two? And what exactly does your weekly schedule look like as far as from a training standpoint? Are you a 3 day a week guy, 5 day a week guy? Are you 4 days? Like, talk about your regimen and just kind of go through it day by day and lay out, are you focusing on speed and agility? Are you every day, is there some kind of piece of recovery that goes on, or are you focused on strength and conditioning? Just let us through that and lay it out for us, as far as what you do.
All right. So, luckily, I have a great trainer that's at the school with me, and I've been growing, and I got a good connection with him, especially being that I played there. So he kind of keeps me on a nice little regimen, and I keep myself, disciplined on a regimen. Um, it is 4 days a week, but I'm working every day. So you got our Mondays, speed days. I run more than anything, but our speed days, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, speed, just speed, straight line speed. And with the wickets, which is the timing gates that they use for time 40s, we use those in different variation of ways. I always make sure I'm getting faster. Then we got our 2 days, which is Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's our big lift days. A lot of heavy movement, a lot of jumping, a lot of stuff that keep me going, keep me moving. Not so much as heavy lifting in that aspect, but more like conditioning lifting to get my body right and make sure my muscles always moving fast at a fast pace. And he keeps me at the speed with that. And Wednesdays mostly it's like yoga days or like sauna days, a little bit like midweek recovery. I do still do like plyometrics on Wednesdays only. I do like a lot of plyometrics, just jumping around and stuff like that. But it's mostly almost like a semi-recovery day with sauna and doing yoga. And eating wise, I got a nice little diet, make sure to stay away from a lot of red meats and stuff like that. Make sure I'm eating, staying lean when I'm eating. And it's called a Whoop bracelet. I got one of those, and it tracks how many calories you burn in. It tracks your sleep, so I got to make sure I'm getting, a good amount of sleep. It's a real good thing for me, and the players use it as well, especially through camp. It tracks everything. You can look at it right on your phone. Tracks your calories, your sleep, your strain, how hard you work for that day, and balancing that, with my calorie intake. It's real good for me. So that's basically it. Nothing too crazy, nothing too out of the ordinary, but just more of a consistent plan that keeps me going. Especially when we run, we make sure we always run at full speed. A nice break in between. We're not killing myself every day, but making sure we getting good quality reps, which is basically how I was able to stay healthy throughout college. So obviously it works. The proof is in the pudding because I mean, it works for me. So I haven't got injured or nothing like that throughout college. Haven't had like no crazy hamstring or ACL, nothing like that. So stuff like that kind of keeps me moving, keeps me in shape, and keeps my body healthy and ready for whenever the phone call is. I make sure I'm ready to go. Whatever team needs me and wants me to fill in, I'm always ready to go.
I talk to athletes a lot too. When it comes to recovery and ability. I was talking to an athlete just the other day, and it was kind of talking about had some issues with hamstrings and leg tightness and different things, and they were doing to work on flexibility, and they just kind of hesitated, so to speak. It was kind of like, well, and I said, you should be doing yoga at least every day or every other day.
Right,
Obviously,
right.
you talked about that's part of your regimen. How have you? What benefits have you seen? I guess I'll ask it that way. And how valuable do you feel like is part of your training regimen during the off season? Is it really important? Do you feel like you get a huge benefit out of it, or talk a little bit about that?
Yes, always beneficial to do different stuff like that. Put your body in different positions. Football players, we mostly like lifting fast, lifting heavy, just lifting at some point, but it's good to have, your body weight for yourself and put your muscles through a lot of different slow movement positions and, standing still positions, stuff that you never even know you could do like standing on your fingertips and your toes at the same time and doing all these different poses, especially with yoga, you doing different poses that you didn't even know you could do. So it's putting your body in different weird positions and you end up finding a lot of different stuff about your body that you didn't know about. And it always just keeps it ready, especially drinking a lot of water with it too. It just keeps your body feeling good. And a lot of athletes like O linemen, D linemen, they hate it because they can't really do all these long lasting poses because they weigh a lot. But it's still good though to get out and try different recovery stages, especially as a young athlete. It's good to do that stuff. Keep your body ready. And I felt like it was great for me. Like I said, I haven't had an injury since, my 11th grade year in high school, and that was just an ankle injury. But I haven't had an injury since then, and I'm grateful that God has blessed me with that. That I could be able to say that in my journey. But recovery, that's a huge thing, and a lot of people don't like it because they're always tired from working out. They feel like if they work out, they ran. They feel like sleep is good enough, but it's just not, you got to do a different, a bunch of different stuff to learn your body and put your body through these things so you could be the best that you could be, especially playing.
So, what's your favorite position? Do you have a favorite one in yoga? Chance as a teacher early on, a PE teacher. One county I was a part of, they wanted to implement yoga to the curriculum. Go and spend the day with a college professor and learn how to implement it and teach it. And of course, we had to demonstrate the poses ourselves. What's your favorite if you have one?
I don't think I really, I don't think I really have a favorite one because it's such an art to it. It's just like it's all in one, especially if you do it for a time frame, it's all like one whole session together. So I don't really have a favorite one. Upward dog, downward dog, child's pose, obviously. But it's not really, it's not really a favorite one for me. But just to do it all together and get it all
For
done
dog is
makes me happy.
the downward dog is an awkward one. I'll say that. I think the easiest one for everybody is probably so. That was my thing. And some of the things were kind of crazy, and like you said, you put your body in some weird position. You really find out how flexible you can be. Truthfully, Um, you know, obviously being a coach involved with a college program and having been a college athlete yourself, part of being an athlete at the college and professional levels is community service. So obviously, there with a university, a Division I program, I'm sure there's a lot of community service efforts that go on that you have to be involved in. As a coach, you're being involved in, and I'm sure with your players. But since your playing career took off, have you found or heard about or been told about or read about certain community service efforts that maybe you say, man, if I ever become a big time professional athlete, I want to become a part of that. I want to make my mark on that. Do you have something like that you've thought about, or are you still kind of thinking about that and kind of evaluating what you want to do?
No, I've been thinking about it. I know, the Boys and Girls Clubs, especially, back in Florida, definitely something I definitely got to get involved in, for the kids. Being that I grew up in the Boys and Girls Club, which is where I've met a lot of the famous athletes that I know now at Boys and Girls Clubs. So that's definitely one thing I want to get involved in. I could say being at Howard, it's a it's a local. It's like a deaf children's school that's right by Howard, and they come through Howard all the time. And that's one of the schools that I definitely thought about making sure that I'm involved with, especially being that we had community service over there a few times and stuff like that. But mostly Boys and Girls Club, and definitely one of the schools, the deaf children's school that's up here by Howard. I would definitely put that on my regimen and make sure I'm always involved with that. So
What does the Boys and Girls Club mean to you? Obviously, you just talked about being brought up and kind of raised in the Boys and Girls. What does that really mean to you? Like, how important is that to you?
So personally, it's important to me because obviously you're in a community with kids, and you're not out here doing anything with your life. You're not just getting in trouble or finding bad things to get into. Yeah, the Boys and Girls Club. You're in a community with your family and with a lot of these kids that you probably wouldn't have met if you haven't went there. So it's real good for kids. Obviously, for me being there, going there, staying out of trouble, learning a lot of stuff that I went and thought I knew, especially you got your parents that teach you a plethora of things, and then it's also other things that you can learn from other adults and being around other kids, and just learn how to stand up for myself, and stuff like that that is essential for kids and growing up, because you meet a lot of kids, man, you make a lot of friends, and you're also having fun, and staying out of trouble is the biggest thing, staying out of trouble. So Boys and Girls Club, man, that's huge. And a lot of kids learn how to play football, like the Boys and Girls Club, learn how to play basketball. That's where you learn that, outside of going to school. But yeah, I feel like that's very important and a huge aspect in a lot of kids' lives and should be.
Yeah, yeah, it's a huge thing to want to be involved in mentoring kids and just really trying to set a good example for them and have giving them a role model to look. And that kind of leads to my next question. Obviously as an athlete, college professional, you're a hero to a lot of youth athletes, older athletes, people in general. How important to um, the image that you portray to the people that look up to you?
Oh man, I couldn't talk about this enough. The amount of people that kind of watch us as student athletes, that's following us on Instagram, following us wherever on TikTok. You never know, where these kids are watching you at, and it's so important that we kind of make sure we on point and that we not putting out the wrong image, but we putting out a positive image to let kids know like this is a good route. Like everybody don't want to go to college or don't want to go to school, but if they see you do it and they see that you having fun with it and they see that it's easy for you to move on and adjust and be away from home, it'll encourage a lot of kids to do a lot of stuff that they never thought they would be doing, especially like going to college in a black community. A lot of people think that, we don't go to college or we don't want to get a degree or we start and we drop out. But the image that student athletes put, not only can you play football, but you can also get a good degree and find some other stuff you love. Because you got college a long time, you're there away from home, for 4 years. And these are, important stages that you go through 18, 19, 20, 21. That's the years that you'll be in college and you learn a lot of stuff about yourself and kind of just putting an image that show that, I could do it. Like I did it. I'm from where you from. Like I grew up with you and I grew up around you and I ventured off myself and I'm doing pretty good for myself. So you can do it too. You don't have to be, all this in the street stuff and always in the neighborhood with the guys and stuff. You can venture off on your own and be something different. So especially if you find, a love for a game like football or a love for a game like basketball, boxing, bowling, anything to kind of get you from out of your comfort zone and figure out some stuff about yourself, away from home. I feel like that's always good and that we putting that and we pushing that out there for kids.
Role model? Did you have an athlete that you looked up to, or somebody that you idolized?
Uh, Me personally, not really. I grew up around a bunch of guys, a bunch of very great football players, but I never really thought about one person that I look up to. I always try to be, I always wanted to be that person that everybody looked up to. So I was always trying to make sure, I was good and I was on point. But honestly, that's been my mindset. I will always wanted to be the guy that everybody looked up to and that come back and does toy drives and food giveaways and flag football events for the kids. I always wanted to be that guy. So
So it's safe to say that you being involved in your community and giving back and being a role model for kids and giving them someone to look up to is an extremely important uh, piece of who you are as a person, as far as your makeup and DNA. Um, Let me ask you this: obviously you've been in the college atmosphere. Now you're trying to transition to the professional level. How important is it to you what your teammates, the front office people, the coaching staff, the fan base, the general public? How important is it to you what they think of you, not athlete, but as a person off the field?
oh man, this is a great question right here, Coach, because a lot of people don't know, especially coming from college and trying to, transition to being a professional. If a team loves you, if an NFL team loves you, if any coach loves you in the professional aspect, they're gonna ask everyone about you. They want to know what you're doing when you leave practice. They want to know how you are in the dorm. They want to know what the janitor think about you, not just the head coach, but like the front desk person in your dorm. Like they ask plenty of questions, and this is huge, especially when it comes to athletes, to make sure that they know this type of stuff because it could be someone that you think wouldn't even have an impact on your career, and just because you kind of treated them wrong or looked at them a certain type of way, they'll remember that, and it'll always kind of leave a mark on your character. So it's definitely important making sure you kind of treat everybody with the same upfront respect. And me, I'm obviously a good guy and a very people person type of guy. So I make sure I'm treating everyone almost with the same respect as I would, my mom or as I would the coach or the president, because all these things matter. Because I done seen a lot of stories. Like my friend Jerry Judy, he a first round draft pick, went to the Broncos. He was telling me, a story about how, his coaches, they was asking like his first grade teacher, how was he in first grade, or they asked the janitor, how was he in high school, stuff like that that goes a long way. You wouldn't even think about,
Yep.
that one person, but they obviously want to know, how you are off the field. So definitely, that definitely is a big role.
Absolutely. I mean, they're making when you get to that, obviously they're making a huge financial investment in you. They want to make sure that they're going to get a return on that investment and that you're going to treat people respect and not come in like some of these athletes and become a prima donna or a diva and, start
Right.
disrespecting people because you think them or, bossing people around because you think, you have some kind of authority to do that. They want people that are humble, that are and coachable and mentorable, like I talk about a lot of times. They want that guy that's just going to be quiet and humble and come in and work and sir and yes ma'am and no ma'am and thank you, for your time and I really appreciate that kind of thing. And so yeah, I mean, you're exactly right with how you responded to that. I think that is a huge thing, and I think it's a question that athletes need to talk about on an interview like this to really express what their thought process is and what they. And so let me ask you something. We're coming down to the wire here. We're going to close this thing out because I know
Okay.
you got to go. What to this point in your journey? What has been the most memorable aspect, not only just on the field, but in the coaching aspect or high school trying to get recruited? What's been the memorable thing that you can remember so far about this journey that stands out to you the most? That you think about that, and you're like, man, I wish I could go again, or man, that really was a great day, or talk real quick about that.
Um, ah, it's so many. I could
Ah, I threw a
easily,
curveball and stumped you right here.
yeah, yeah. I could easily say, winning the first MIAC championship at my school and over 10, 15 years. I could say, going through sleeping on the floor and at my early age, 17 years old, not having nowhere to stay and being in the house, with no lights and having cold showers. I could easily say playing special teams when they didn't think I was good enough to play receiver and blocking 11 punts in practice and going in that game week and blocking the game winning punt for us. I could easily say last year when the new coaching staff came in and they told me they're gonna use me in every way possible, and here I am, on television throwing a 35-yard touchdown, to one of my guys. It's a lot of memories, but I feel like the most would probably be just this last year. Obviously, when they all told me that I wouldn't be able to play football, or they told me that maybe it's better if you go home and focus on your career and stuff. But these coaches took a chance on me, man, and here I am today. One of the leaders in the FCS Bowl, the Senior Bowl. At my position, receiver, throwing touchdowns on ESPN, having fun. So I can say that's my biggest memory, just being around the coaches that I thought wouldn't even care about me. I'd just be another guy, and finally having someone to put their all into you, which was my last year of school. They put their all into me, man. They let me know, I was one of the guys that could really take this team up, and I'm really special. Uh, we had moments in practice where we was conditioning. Oh my God, I'll never forget this one. We was in practice conditioning, and we doing gassers, and everyone's tired, everyone's dying. And I remember all throughout practice, my position coach was telling me, I got a surprise for you at the end of practice. I got a surprise for you. I got a surprise for you. And I was like, okay, so here we are conditioning. We done did almost 12, 14 gassers. and everyone's tired, and coach looks in the crowd, and he pulls me out of the crowd and puts me in the middle of the field, almost, with my heels on the goal line, and they grab one of the jug machines that shoots the balls in the air. They grab one of the jug machines, put it all the way on the other side of the field, and everyone gets around me and they say, "If you catch this ball, we're done conditioning for the day. We're finished. We all done. We good. Practice over. But if I drop it, we got 10 more gases." And everyone's just around me like, "Come on, Joe, you can do it." Everybody yelling at me like, "Let's go." And man, they shoot the ball and I caught it and we all go crazy. And I ain't know in that moment how big it was for me. Obviously I caught it, and they all, was tired and stuff. So they all putting all they, willpower on me and stuff. But in front of the whole team, in front of all the coaches, in front of, that it's always that one person that's like, he's good, but is he really that good? And, kind of putting that on the line and letting me, put that out there. And I think about it years later, how the amount of pressure kind of formed me in moments like that. And when you got coaches that'll pick you out of everyone and put the game on the line for you, stuff like that kind of always sticks with me. I'll never forget that moment of my life right there. It was the best moment ever for me, especially for my team, and kind of proving, a little bit to myself that, that bro, you could do this. Like you could put the team on your back, and it's people out here that really believe in you, even if you're not the biggest, strongest, fastest player on the team. It'll always be you always find that one person that believe in you, and I got to put it on in front of the whole team. So I'll never forget that memory right there.
Is it safe to say that your entire football journey to this point, I can just hear it when you talk and I see your facial expressions. Is it safe to say that you're extremely grateful and appreciative of all the opportunities that you've been given thus far?
Man, grateful ain't even a word at this point. God is good, and yeah, man, it's so much emotion that comes out of this game for me. Not just playing, not just coaching, but just myself as a whole. My character, my purpose as a whole, which I'm still trying to figure out right now. But yeah, it's a lot that goes into this for me, man. It's really exciting and emotional, this journey. So I say yeah.
Real quick, I see that jersey behind you framed. Obviously, that's a
Yes, sir.
huge deal to you. When you look in that frame and it's hung on the wall, what does that mean to you?
Man, it means so much to me. That number right there, I didn't even want that number, 82. I didn't even want that number. When I first came my freshman year playing college, I was number 9. But for some reason, I remember, coming out of high school, I remember this number kept following me around everywhere I go, whether it's a showcase, a high school showcase, or whether it's just me being in line to get my food, and that number just pops up and on my ticket, or it was just that number following me all around. And I remember my sophomore year, my coach came and he sat me down and he had a bunch of numbers on the table and asked me, what jersey number I wanted, and that was one of the numbers that was there. And I decided that, bro, this number been sticking out to me the most. I'm gonna just get that number, and I kept that number for all my years of college and even moving forward. Going to grad school, I kept that number, and it just followed me around all the time. So it reminds me of my story. It reminds me of everything that I've been through. It reminds me of, you know, how much stuff I had to overcome that number, because nobody really cared about me at all. I wasn't like the best guy all the time. Like I wasn't like that guy like a DK Metcalf, big, strong, fast. I wasn't that guy. Like I really had to earn everything I got to this point. And every time I see that jersey, man, it kind of remind me that, bro, I got a huge story and I could keep going. And I want millions of people to hear my story, not just, on the podcast, but just in general in life, on the news. Someone gonna hear this story and it's gonna touch somebody somewhere and remind them to keep going. So that jersey right there, it always, reminds me of my story and reminds me that my story's still being written.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Do these guys that you grew up with? Obviously, you know a lot of guys high level professional ball and things. Do they ever talk to you and say, we're really proud of you and the way you stuck and you gutted it out? Do they ever mention to you, and, we're really proud of you? Does that ever come across?
Yeah, one of my good friends, Hollywood Brown, he plays for the Arizona Cardinals now. I talk to him a lot, and he reminds me because a lot of the stuff I went through, he was kind of there with me, through high school and stuff, and we was kind of going through the same stuff, before he got to Oklahoma. But he has reached out to me and told me like, bro, like you're still going, bro. I'm proud of you. A lot of people, he reminds me that a lot of people we started the journey with are not here no more. They don't even play football no more. They never got a college degree. A lot of these people we started out with not here anymore. And he kind of reminds me that, we wanted the chosen two that's able to keep going. And even if I'm not playing, I'm still around the game that I love to be around. And I'm still, you know, in football at some aspect and have a huge impact.
Yeah, yeah. And that's something real athletes too. That this journey is not for the weak or the timid or the faint at heart. This journey will test you, your willpower, your commitment, your dedication. It'll definitely challenge your faith and whether you have enough faith at this or
Yes,
not.
sir.
It will. So absolutely. Last question: when the cleats are hung up,
hmm
final down is played, final touchdown is called, where does Justin go? What's Justin's future?
Justin probably somewhere with a group of guys telling them that they can still, chase their dreams. Justin probably somewhere coaching on some team somewhere telling 60, 70 guys that they can reach their dream. Justin somewhere in the community telling all the kids that listen, you don't have to go the bad route. You could find something good. You could be yourself doing it. Justin probably somewhere having fun, man, hanging out with his family and the people that he loves, and just thinking about his life and how much he has accomplished and how big of a impact he has been. That's what Justin gonna be doing when it's hung up.
Justin, I really appreciate the time. I want to tell you, I know when you and I first connected, I was talked about the fact that you were not real trustworthy of people and whether or not somebody could really help you. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor to sit here for the last 45 minutes to an hour and talk to you and listen to you talk about your story. I can just sense it. I can sense the pride. I can sense the gratefulness, the appreciation. I can sense I can just sense that overwhelming feeling of that um, you in your corner that's guided you through this, and that you're grateful for all the tough times because the tough times made you who you are, and the tough put you in the position to be successful. Not just as a player, but at some point, whenever you decide to settle into that as a coach, as a mentor. Um, so I can honestly say it's been a pleasure and it's been an honor, and I'm grateful that you've put your trust to help you with your career moving forward. So we're gonna wrap this thing up. Let everybody know. I want to give you 5 seconds to a minute here. Um, any coach, scout, general manager, player personnel director on any level that may be watching this or see this at a later time, take the floor, tell them what they may not already know about Justin from this interview, your profile, your film, your college bio. Tell them what you want them to know about Justin, and tell them about what Justin is going to bring to the give you an opportunity. Basically, I'm giving you the floor to sell yourself for the next minute or so.
You can hear me, Coach?
Yeah, I can hear you. I was just saying for the next minute or so, I'm going to turn this over to close it out. Coach, scout, player personnel director, or general manager on any level that may see this now or see it later, tell them what Justin brings to the table, what Justin will bring to the table if they give you an opportunity. Uh, Explain what they don't about Justin, whether it's through this interview or your profile or your film or your college bio. Basically, take a minute or so and sell yourself.
So, man, I can honestly say I know it's real cliche about people saying, they work hard, they dedicated, they show up. But me personally, myself, I'm bringing everything to the table, honestly. And this is not just me just saying this. You can watch my film yourself and see I play every position on the football field: receiver, running back, tight end, wing back, kick return, punt return. I throw the ball, I block punch. The proof is in the pudding, honestly, man. And I come in, I'm not just a guy that's just happy to be there. I'm not just a guy that just want a jersey. Uh, what I'm chasing, honestly, honest to God, is, worth way more than just money, worth way more than just being on the team. The thing that I'm chasing right now is just something that's inside of me, and it got to be put on for everyone. Um, Me personally, man, I can't express enough how much God has been good to me, and how much He is, came through for me in this aspect, and just showing up, man, and just waiting on that one person, that one coach, that one guy to see this and be like, you know what, bro, we're gonna give him a chance right here. We're gonna give him a shot right here. He's a guy that's hungry. He's a guy that's ready to put everything on the line. He's a guy that's been through so much. He's a guy that's been through so much, man. He will never ever take an opportunity for granted, man. Just if you're watching this, whoever gets to see this, man, I just pray to God, just one person takes a chance on me. They'll never regret it. Honestly, they'll never regret, nothing they do with me. I'm, a stand-up guy. You can stand up on the table for me, and I won't let you down. Never been late to a meeting ever in college history. Never fell asleep in a meeting ever in my college, years. Never missed a practice. Always healthy, always ready to go. I'm just a guy that's trying to find my purpose in life, and trying to find a good group of people that could, kind of let me unlock my full potential, and unlock my passion, and let everyone else see, what type of guy I am. And honestly, that's just it. The proof is in the pudding. I run great routes. I make plays. I do everything. I coach. I do everything, honestly, man. And that one guy, that one team, that one general manager, that one janitor that may be watching this, that one guy that, you know, you never even think that would see this, man. I hope you watch this, and you tell somebody about this kid right here that got a great story, and wants to share the world with his story, and wants to touch the world with his story. So,
Justin, thank you again. I told you it's been a pleasure and an honor. Tell everybody real quickly how they can find you on social media. What platforms are you on? What's your handle? How can they communicate with you?
I'll be on Instagram. My Instagram is liljo.82, LILJO dot and the number 82. Uh, my Twitter is the same as my Instagram. And that's why, I post all my stuff, and all my coaching stuff, football stuff. You'll see a bunch of stuff on there about me, especially on my Twitter. I'm not really on Facebook and stuff like that. So I don't really be on those. I don't really have those. But Instagram and Twitter, anyone that sees this, I might see this, could reach out to me, and you'll see me on there.
All right. Listen, I know you got to go. I'm gonna cut you loose here, and appreciate all the time, patience with us in this. Um, for anybody that does see this, you will see his profile on our website. at hgsport.com. That's scrolling across the bottom of the screen there. Um, we will have his profile is already up, and we're continuing to fill in pieces of the info in there. But we look forward to hearing from any coaches or scouts or GMs or player personnel directors that have an opportunity for this young man. I can tell you, this is a real hidden gem right here, a guy that is truly driven and humble and grateful for every opportunity that he gets. And so you can't go wrong with a young man like this. And so we just ask that you watch this interview and check out his film, his profile, do your due diligence in extending opportunities to him. So, Justin, get out of here. I know you got to go coach some kids up today. Have a good one, and we will talk with you soon, sir.
All right, Coach. Thanks again, Coach. Appreciate the opportunity so much, man. Thank you for everybody watching. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Get out of here. Have a good day. I'll talk to you a little bit later.
All right, Coach. Talk to you.
All right, bye. And that wraps up another interview here at Hidden Gem Sports Scouting. We will see you back next time with another interview with a client. We've got a handful coming, and we look forward to anybody that wants to chime in or view and check out these young. Thank you again. We're signing off for now. Have a good day.